There's people out there that you don't want to forgive because their behavior was so bad that you're like, why the hell should I forgive them? And it's like, they don't deserve my forgiveness. Well, forgiveness doesn't have to do with the other person. It really has to do with you. Because that person who cheated on you that you're not going to forgive is out there moving on with their life, doing whatever it is they're doing. And, you know, and the thing is that here you are, you're the one suffering. And you don't trust other men ever again. You can't ever get into a relationship without wondering whether or not they're off doing something. It's your forgiveness that's going to set you free. It's going to give you a whole lot more peace. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean that you're condoning the behavior, okay? It doesn't mean that you suddenly say, oh, it's okay for you to be a jackass and, you know, whatever. Okay? And what I'm saying here is that when you forgive somebody, you're setting yourself free. You're basically letting go of the problem. So I did something one time where, you know, when I was married, I was married for 13 years the first time, and when I was married, there was a lot of that's why I'm planning to go to the Lambert today. Oh, awesome, sweetheart. You're gonna let me know how that goes. And if you need to talk about anything privately, just let me know. So anyways, when I was married, hi, Cynthia, Clayton, sorry. When I was married for 13 years, and when I got a divorce, there was a lot of anger that was thrown around because he was really mad at me for leaving him. And so he was really mean to me, and so we would argue a lot. We barely even argued at all or even talked much when we were married. But after we got a divorce, we argued all the time. And it was really bad. And it was like every time I get off the phone with him, I'd just run off crying and be in hysterics. And one of my friends told me that you don't have to do that, okay? Because you're not married to him anymore. You don't have to listen to him. You don't have to let it affect you. You don't have to do any of that. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought, you know, at some point in time, I'm going to have to forgive him. And so I sat back and I started thinking about what I would say to, you know, how I would say, I'm sorry and I'm forgiving you and blah, blah, blah. And take my responsibility and my part and all of that. And so I decided that, you know, I was gonna do that, but then I started replaying all the things that he might say back to me, and you know, I was like, don't think confrontation is probably the best direction to go. So I decided to go into like a deep meditation, and in my meditation I visualized that I was talking to him, and we had a conversation about, you know, how I was forgiving him and letting go. Well, shortly after that, it was interesting because in my mind, you know, like subconsciously, it was like gone, you know, it was like gone forever. So in my mind, I was able to really let that go. And because I was letting that go, it was like there was a sense of freedom that kind of came over me. And the next time he called me, he asked me for a favor. Now this, like I said, this is years and years ago, and he asked, you know, okay, is it possible for you to be able to trade days with me with the kids and blah, blah, blah. And I said, absolutely, no problem. And he was just like shocked on the phone, like, like he was expecting me to argue with him. And I was just really nice. And I was able to be nice because I let it go. And from that moment on, he never yelled at me again. And in fact, he didn't even know how to even talk to me, because I would be like, hey, how are ya? And he'd be like, you know. So he couldn't be mean to me because I wasn't going to be mean to him. And I wasn't going to be mean to him because I forgave him. And, you know, I'm not saying that what he did was right, and I'm not saying that what I did was right, and I took my level of responsibility in it and decided to let it go. And, you know, it gave me freedom. It gave me a sense of peace. I was able to not stress and worry and cry and deal with that pain. I just let it all go. Hey, April, how are you? And so by letting it go, I got a sense of freedom. So when you forgive somebody, even if it's something really bad, let's say hypothetically, like I was talking earlier before I cut all this off, I was talking about somebody I know that was molested as a child, and it was affecting their sexual relationship to the man that she was married to. And she asked me for some help, and I told her, I said, you've got to forgive your victimizer, the one that hurt you. And she's like, I can't do that. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to go and be best buds with this guy. I'm not telling you to go have beers with him or go see a movie with him. I'm not telling you to call this person. I'm saying you need to let it go. You need to forgive him and say, I forgive you. And you don't even have to say it to him in person. You can like say it in your mind. And because really the forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other person. It's not about whether or not they even accept your forgiveness. It has nothing to do with that. I was friends with this woman for 15 years. And she was one of my best friends in the whole world. And something happened. I'm not sure what. I have no idea. Maybe she was fooling me the whole time. I have no idea. But there was a point in our relationship where she literally like went nutso-bago. And and when I say that, like split personality disorder started to creep up, another personality disorder issue. She would lie, believe her lies, and there was two problems that were happening, and it was just really a big mess. And it got to a point where it was so complicated to even have a conversation with her that I just couldn't even be friends with her anymore. And at some point in time, I couldn't believe the things that she was saying to me and how mean they were. And so there was a lot of hurt involved. And so I had to end the friendship. And when I ended the friendship, I ended it by saying, I love you. And I forgive you. And I don't know what's going on with you, but I can't have this in my life, okay? But I'm not going to hold any grudges, and I'm going to forgive you for all the pain that I've had, and I'm going to forgive you for all the actions that you've done that have caused me pain. But I can't have you in my life. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're accepting the problem. You can let go with love. And and we're talking about spiritual evolution here in these talks that I'm doing for 30 days. So the forgiveness is about looking at it from a different perspective. So let's say hypothetically that you believe in reincarnation. So let's say if you do believe in reincarnation and you think about it, then you kind of look at it from a different perspective. Like, this person could be there to teach you a lesson, or maybe you're there in their life to help them evolve spiritually. Maybe they're there to teach you a lesson, maybe you're there to teach them a lesson. It really doesn't matter. But the goal here in this world is for everyone is to let go of your absolutes, to be open and to learn to grow, to learn to love, to learn to accept. And the whole definition of love is acceptance. And so the only way that you can really ever love the world or love humanity or love people or love yourself is through acceptance. So now this brings us full circle. Now we're talking about forgiveness. So we've talked about forgiveness and forgiving others, but what about forgiving yourself? What about saying to yourself that it's time for me to forgive myself for the things, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have like the prettiest past, I've done some things in my life. I'm 52 years old, so, I'm kind of older, and I've had I've had some dark moments in my life, and I don't mean dark like evil, but I mean dark like kind of gray. I've had things happened to me in my life that brought me into a really low spot, and I had a hard time getting out of it. And the thing is that when I reflect back at it and I look at some of the things I did, sometimes I can say, wow, I can't believe I did that, man. And the thing about that is that I had to forgive myself to be able to move forward, because if you hold on to things, then what ends up happening is that, when we were talking about being present, and I think that was one of the very first talks that I did, was about being present. And when you are living in the past, you're not being present. So if you're sitting here dwelling on things that you've done in your life to where you can't forgive yourself for it, like I'll never forgive myself for doing this or this, and if you sit in that space, then you're always going to be unhappy, and there's no way that you're going to level up spiritually if you're constantly living with hating yourself, anger with yourself, depression from your past. You've got to forgive yourself, and you got to forgive others. And I hope that this has maybe helped you on some notes, and I do appreciate you guys waiting on me. The first time I did this, I did get a little frustrated. So yes, I am human, and yes, I do have emotions, and yes, I do react. I just want you guys to know that I was a bit frustrated. And if you guys are on right now and you don't know what happened, but I went live and somebody said to me, started making some sexual comments in the post, and it was really inappropriate, and I was trying to concentrate, and it was really upsetting me because I told the person to stop and they just kept on talking. So I logged out, and then I went and deleted the person, and found out that this person that was making the comments had like 5 different profiles. So anyways, yeah, I had to go through all of them and block them all. So anyways, but here you go. I forgive that person, and I forgive myself for getting upset and letting it bother me. So there you go. That's how you do it. I wish you guys tons of love and light. And remember, give yourself permission to feel things, but then let it go. Okay? Just let it go. You don't need to hold on to it. And forgive others and forgive yourself. And forgiving others doesn't mean that you're condoning their behavior. It just means you're letting it go so that you can be at peace. This is Michelle Thompson, and if you're catching the tail end of this, go ahead and watch the replay. Y'all have an awesome day. Bye.